kina na moro chumena mataka ko ni rawone ni biba mara taka ke misa ropo ni ana di sambulu bidang na sero gori sana churi kina na moro chumai tuna sele ni sambula oyo Mr. Ben kelapa na magikira ni biba mataka moni chikira moro mbuka maina ono kina diwa ena bula FM
This is FBC News. I'm Jackie Spate. In this bulletin, Prime Minister commits to 30% drop in carbon emissions by 2030. United Kingdom ready to assist with climate change efforts. An Australian Minister for Pacific, Stephen Chobo, makes surprise visit to Fiji. The Fijian government has set an ambitious target to reduce carbon emissions by 30% in the next 15 years. Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama made the announcement while commissioning the Fiji Electricity Authority's latest renewable energy project.
The Wainisavu level weir, at one of the highest points in Fiji, has been raised to collect more water and improve Fiji's renewable energy capabilities. It was here that Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama committed Fiji to reducing carbon emissions by 30% by the year 2030. Bainimarama says proportionally, this is a much bigger sacrifice than a 30% commitment by any industrialized nation. This latest project in Wainisavu Levu will enable Fiji to increase hydropower output by 10 million units, saving $2.5 million in annual fuel bills.
Storage will increase by 17-fold from about 507,000 cubic meters to 5.6 million cubic meters. And from that we can turn that extra storage into 10 million units of additional energy from the Wainikaso power station.
Bainimarama's plan for green energy means reducing carbon emissions in our energy sector and generating 99% of our electricity needs from renewable sources such as water or the sun.
It gives FA increased capability of dispatching a bit more hydro in terms of the mix. When we have high inflows and more reservoir capacity, we have the ability to dispatch more hydro.
This latest project is only the beginning for FEA. Already there are studies underway on potential new sites for hydroelectricity to be built in the coming years.
But in terms of development, I think we won't be able to develop anything further upstream because we are on the highest point of this catchment area. This catchment is closest to the Monasavu catchment. But further downstream, there is a potential project in the future.
Fiji's per capita carbon emission in 2013 was an estimated 1.5 tons compared to the global average of about 5 tons. Edwin Nunth, FBC News.
The United Kingdom will continue supporting Fiji and other Pacific Island nations in the fight against climate change. British High Commissioner to Fiji, Roderick Drummond, says they will help these nations in any way possible. Eleanor Tarangai-View reports.
It is the most important issue in international diplomacy this year. A legally binding agreement at the conference of the parties' 21st meeting in Paris next month.
It is absolutely essential in our view that we get a legally binding deal, an ambitious deal in Paris at the COP21, and then that's only the start. That's the start of actually then living up to the commitments that nations make and reviewing them and doing better.
149 nations have so far made their commitments to reducing their carbon emissions. The UK committed to 80% reduction by 2050. Today, Fiji committed to 30% reduction by 2030.
We've seen a lot of progress in the last few months with much more ambitious commitments from the United States and from China, which reflects the way we and other allies have been working with them. We need to see more from the world collectively.
With the UK already one of the biggest contributors to the Global Climate Fund or GCF, Ambassador Drummond says they will contribute more.
We want to see that having an impact in regions like the Pacific, where if we can get the structures right, the funding can make a huge difference to the sustainability of economies and societies here in the region. So we are going to remain absolutely at the forefront on the GCF and other funding mechanisms.
Drummond says the UK government has been and will continue to work with Fiji and other Pacific nations to help improve sustainability, the ability to decarbonize the economy, and also cope with the effects of climate change.
Eleanor now joins us from the capital city. Eleanor, I understand a worldwide effort is underway to combat climate change.
Yes, Jackie, and this is building confidence that nations can cost-effectively meet their targeted carbon emissions and to help keep the global temperature rise to under 2 degrees Celsius. However, a report released by the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change over the weekend calls for more action. The report assesses the collective impact of 140 climate action plans called the Intended Nationally Determined Contributions, or INDCs, and says that together they can dramatically slow global emissions into the atmosphere. However, as stated in my earlier report, Fiji, along with 149 nations, have laid their carbon emission targets on the table. But the UN says this is not enough because combined the targets have the capability of limiting the forecast temperature to around 2.7 degrees Celsius. Jackie, we need it to be under 2 degrees Celsius. This spells out one thing: more commitment. Basically, more commitment from the major carbon emitters.
Well said. Thanks so much for that, Eleanor. Fiji Trades Union Congress President Daniel Urai has confirmed that the FTUC has filed yet another separate report to the International Labour Organization. Despite this, Urai says there is renewed hope that their issues will be resolved as negotiations with Employment Minister Semi Koroila-Visau have resulted in a number of commitments.
It's not all doom and gloom ahead of the assembly of the ILO's governing body next Wednesday in Geneva. Fiji Trades Union Congress President Daniel Urai is hopeful that the weekend's intervention by the Employment Minister will see positive results.
FTUC has filed a separate report. However, we see genuinity in this minister trying to get things resolved. We understand that he has been put into this position at a time where he was not responsible for everything that has now happened. And we in the Fiji Trades Union Congress are willing to work with the minister to have this resolved.
This show of faith, according to Urai, is because of assurances by the government to set up additional arbitration tribunals to deal with the backlog of industrial relation cases.
Reviewing the composition of the Employment Relations Advisory Board to reflect the signatories of the March tripartite agreement, as well as the bargaining unit provisions under the ERP.
To ensure that the agreement that we reach on Chekhov has been made with the civil service. Other government companies or statutory bodies have not implemented Chekhov. He has given his assurance that he will ensure that they uphold this as it was part of an agreement.
Employment Minister Semi Koroila-Visau has told FBC News that all parties agree that an ILO Commission of Inquiry is the last thing anyone wants.
He adds discussions are being held in earnest to reach some semblance of consensus before the ILO's governing body convenes. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
The fifth suspect in the alleged sexual assault of Yohanan Benedito was arrested and questioned by police today. Peter Matai Rabula has been charged and produced at the Magistrates Court in Asinu. He's remanded in custody until Friday next week, when the court will give a ruling on his bail application. The other 4 accused persons in this matter are currently on bail on strict conditions, and the matter is adjourned to 2nd December 2015. Coming up, Salvation Army to offer substance abuse rehabilitation services.
मेरा चांद मुझे आया है नजर ऐ रात जरा थम थम के गुजर छाया है नशा मेरे आंखों पर ऐ रात जरा थम थम के गुजर रह जाए ना प्यासा मेरा प्यार मेरे बाहों में भर दे मेरा यार ऐ रात जरा थम थम के गुजर ऐ रात जरा थम थम के गुजर। है दोस्तों, मैं हूं जितेन शांडिल। आप रात के बाद हमारे साथ अब रफ्तार प्रोग्राम में 3 से लेकर रात 7 के बीच शामिल हो सकते हैं। मिर्ची एफएम, इट्स हॉट।
Australia's newly appointed Minister to the Pacific, Stephen Chobo, was on a surprise visit to Fiji. Chobo was on hand today to launch the Fiji Women's Fund, a new initiative to help empower women's organisations. He also announced more than $16 million funding for the fund over the next 7 years. Savara Tamboa has more.
The aim of the fund is to empower women and support locally driven initiatives to advance gender equality in leadership and decision-making and ending violence against women. Australian Minister to the Pacific, Stephen Chobo, kick-started the fund, committing millions of dollars to Fiji.
We need to ensure that practical measures are implemented, measures with specific actions that will ensure that we're able to dismantle over time the many barriers to empowerment, be them social, cultural, legal, institutional.
Various women's organizations at the event have been encouraged to join the fund so as to become economically active and grow their income.
We are still looking for more funds for women. So this is an opportunity for the rural women, the village women, for capacity building.
It's really a good opportunity for us to understand there's some funds available for us women organization.
I feel really happy that this 60 million has been injected into the women's development and all. Well, I guess the money that has been given to this women's society, I guess grassroots level would be better.
The funds will also be used to help address domestic violence. Minister for Women Rosie Akbar says Fiji and Australia will work in conjunction for the betterment of the women.
We're looking at strategies that are in place to promote the work that we are doing, and we also discussed how we can share best practices that work for both the countries.
The Fiji Women's Fund will provide tailored support for women's groups and women-led civil society organizations to exchange information and network. Sabera Tambua, FBC News.
The Fijian Teachers Association elections begin tomorrow with postal balloting and polling day on the 17th of this month. The elections will be held countrywide, and the Fijian Elections Office is encouraging members of the association to show up in numbers. Akusita Tale has more.
All packed and ready to go. The Fijian Elections Office is rolling out for the Fijian Teachers Association union election that will run for 2 weeks. It will be the largest union election this year as part. 10 full-time positions will be contested, including president, 2 vice presidents, 1 assistant secretary, 1 treasurer, and 5 committee members.
There will be 3,277 FTA members who will be eligible to vote in this election. The method of voting will comprise of all 3 systems of voting in Fiji, which is postal voting, pre-poll session, and also attendance voting, which is polling day voting.
Delivery of postal packages will begin tomorrow, with postal voting to run till November 13th. Pre-poll votes targeting those in the isolated and remote areas will run from 9th November to the 13th. Polling day has been scheduled on November 17th from 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. to enable teachers to attend polling places after school, with 1,282 expected to cast their votes on the day.
The FEO has decided that counting for this election will take place at the FEO conference room on 18th of November from 10 a.m. until complete. We are also mindful that there are a lot of postal and pre-poll votes, and as such, central counting is more suitable solution as was used in the general election.
All members of the Fijian Teachers Association have been requested to participate in this election and can refer to the publications distributed by the union and in the dailies for polling time indications. Akosita Talei, FBC News.
The Salvation Army will set up alcohol and drug rehabilitation services in Fiji by January to provide therapy sessions for people struggling with addiction. Divisional Commander Major David Nowick says they have seen people transferred to St. Giles Hospital with mental illnesses related to substance abuse. The organisation has sent 2 of its captains to the New Zealand branch for training on alcohol and drug addiction services.
There's a number of things which they'll need to do. Networking with other organisations is going to be really important to start with. The various government ministries, the various NGOs and so forth.
Major Nowak says they will also conduct awareness programs in schools. Fiji Broadcasting Corporation's Hindi stations today hosted the Diwali Thali competition. Radio Fiji 2 and Mirchi FM asked listeners to send in Diwali recipes, and 5 entries were selected. The selected finalists today prepared and displayed their dishes for judging. There were curry dishes, desserts and sweets. 2 winners, Sunita Prasad and Uttara Gurdayal, received $300 prize money. The second and third place winners received cash prizes as well as others received gift hampers. Melbourne Cup is more than just a horse race. Keeping up with the Cup's tradition, a number of women gathered at Suva's Grand Pacific Hotel and at the Governor's Restaurant in Suva for the usual hat competition and fundraisers. Shireen Lata reports.
The race isn't the only event that stops the nation on Melbourne Cup Day. These women took out time to be part of the fashion and hat competition today. Virginia Hosio was the first one to arrive at GPH, and she says it took a lot of effort to design her hat, which was quite unique from others.
With the World Cup over the weekend, it was just an absolute opportune time to, they always had those styles with the fancier hats, and I was thinking about it and I thought, what could I do but, go with the silver fern, and on a day that we could, get dressed up and go a bit overboard. So that's kind of what I did.
Well, I wanted to go black and white today because it's very easy to match up. And so it's very easy. And I love Melbourne Cup, and I always support Melbourne Cup.
There was also a colourful atmosphere at the Governor's Restaurant.
Kaya is actually inspired by Fiji and its nature. I just wanted to keep it natural today.
Similar events were held at various clubhouses and resorts across Fiji as locals got into the spirit of Melbourne Cup. Shireen Lata, FBC News.
Up next, and here's Jamie now with more on the thrilling Melbourne Cup that was run this afternoon.
You can say that again, Jackie. And if you missed the race, we've got that coming up after the break. And we also hear from the first female jockey to win the Melbourne Cup. Stay with us for more.
Imbula bina na turanga na marama na turbugi na ngone lewa. Imbula bina rangone. Karuita kini marata iti ronda bibingomi na bio liba ni Radio Fiji 1 na baibiti na bonga ni bianu yano. Oya upio rotuanga na mni daun bengravi. Na makia mo na ono kita tiri karua mo ni tiki na barumbuka. Ene wasini ngone baruta ki kilo manikoro ilutu na karomo.
Prince of Penzance, today against all odds, made Michelle Payne the first female jockey to ride a winner in the Melbourne Cup horse race. And now we cross live to Rohit Deo, who's at the Grant's Betting House Super Shop. Rohit, what's the atmosphere there like right now?
Good evening, Jamie. Yes, people are still around here cashing in their spoils from today's race. Although all those who placed their bets could not win, but for sure there are a lot of people who are going home happy tonight. With me here is the Grant's betting general manager, Mr. Vijayan Kumar Sundar. Mr. Sundar, how did you see the day unfold today?
Yes, Rohit. Just going through the day, it was an exciting day, and there's been few winners on the winner for the Melbourne Cup. And it was good to see All Blacks winning, and after that another Kiwi horse win, and I think that was very good for New Zealand. And Melbourne Cup is a prestige cup. It's going to New Zealand. It's good to see that.
And the stakes, how did the punters in their favour, how did the betting go?
Yes, when you look at the results, as I'd been saying earlier, that all the 24 horses got a chance to win. So it was a really good to see a horse with a lady jockey winning the Melbourne Cup.
Thank you, Mr. Sundar. And just to let you know, the winner, Prince of Penzance, if you had betted on that, you would have got $86.70 for every dollar you had betted for. Back to you, Jamie.
Thanks for that, Rohit. The Fiji Rugby Union has won the rights to host another tournament this year after the success of the Pacific Rugby Cup and some Pacific Nations Cup matches earlier this year. An age group tournament is just around the corner. Rohit Deo again with the details.
The Rugby Union has been able to win from World Rugby the hosting rights for the Oceania Rugby Junior Trophy qualification tournament for the Oceania region. This tournament will be held here from the 27th of November until the 5th of December. There are 4 teams who are coming. It's Papua New Guinea, Vanuatu, Tonga, and Fiji will be the 4th team. So the winner out of this competition then qualifies to represent the Oceania region into the trophy competition, or the World Rugby Trophy competition, which will be held in Harare, Zimbabwe in April of next year.
The New Zealand All Blacks departed England early this morning, bound for home after winning the Rugby World Cup title on Sunday. The 3-time champion team will arrive into New Zealand tomorrow with celebrations planned around the country. Led by skipper Richie McCaw, fans paved Heathrow Airport in London to catch a glimpse of the world champions. And with Bill tucked away for another 4 years, the All Blacks players are in for a handsome New Zealand $150,000 cash bonus each for the win. Former rugby league star Jared Hayne has not been claimed by any of the other 31 NFL teams after being waived by the San Francisco 49ers and added to the practice squad. Hayne's future is in limbo after the 49ers waived his contract on Sunday. However, being passed over by other teams gave San Francisco the chance to bring Australia's former NRL superstar back into the fold. There was some speculation that Hayne would rejoin the active 53-man roster due to a spate of injuries. And that was your sports for this evening. It's back to Jackie now.
Generally fine weather conditions apart from isolated brief showers prevailed over the country today. A trough of low pressure with associated cloud and showers affects Tuvalu and extends over Wallis. Meanwhile, a broad east to southeast wind flow prevails over most southwest Pacific Island countries. In temperatures, it was a hot day around Fiji, all major centres except Savasavu recording temperatures in the 30s. And fine weather is expected to continue tomorrow. And for Thursday, some showers over the eastern parts and interior of the larger islands, mainly fine elsewhere. Southeast winds 15 to 20 knots and up to 25 knots through the passengers, moderate to rough seas, moderate southerly swells. And recapping the main stories tonight, Prime Minister Vorengen Bainimarama has announced that Fiji will reduce its carbon footprint by 30% by the year 2030. United Kingdom says it's ready to help in climate change mitigation initiatives in Fiji and the Pacific, and Fijian Teachers Association elections on November 17th. To our poll question this week, we are asking, should fireworks restrictions be relaxed from 2016? Visit our FBC website to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page, FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. You've been watching FBC News. I'm Jackie Spade. Bye for now.